Thank you for being here today and you and your team joining us. My first series of questions stems from my work on the Pennsylvania Broadband Development Authority and an issue that is arising that I really fear may hurt Pennsylvania's success with efficiently and effectively utilizing those federal infrastructure dollars that we have received. Pennsylvania, as you well know, the Prevailing Wage Act applies to all projects awarded through the PBDA, and your department is statutorily responsible for determining job classifications and setting appropriate wage rates. So the workers who are responsible for installing the fiber for these projects are typically classified as teledata linemen in just about every other state, as well as by the federal government. It is my understanding that your department has indicated that it will not create such classifications and will instead rely on existing electric lineman classifications for these workers. Is this true?
So, Senator, we don't create rates. What happens, and even if we create a classification, there would still have to be a prevailing rate determination. Back in 2022 is when the first determinations were made in this space with respect to the rates. I know there has been a tremendous amount of discussion about the appropriate rate for this work. What has not...
It's not just the appropriate rate, but the appropriate classification.
Understood, that's right. What hasn't happened, though, in all of this time and this consideration, and this is the message very clear from our office, there has not been any petition. There's been nothing that's been filed with us to consider any different rates. There's been no classification challenge. Nothing has been filed pursuant to statute. I am very happy to consider different rates, different classifications, but it's incumbent upon an entity that is interested to file the petition or file the challenge with our office in order for us to consider it. It's a statutory process.
Well, and that's really good to know, because I think handling teledata cable is inherently less dangerous than handling electric lines. You know, fiber optic does not have live current flowing through it. And additionally, teledata installation involves a much different skill set than is used for electric installation. And teledata linemen, understandably, do not require the same licensing as electric linemen. So given that electric is inherently more dangerous, has stronger licensing standards, companies are going to need to pay those workers a higher wage rate for their work. So the problem that I'm really concerned about here is that many broadband companies may opt out of applying for those federal funds simply because they cannot afford to pay their workers at the electric lineman rate based on the amount of money that's come in from the federal government. And I think we all want to keep Pennsylvania competitive with other states. We want to make sure that we are getting as much connectivity out of those federal dollars as we possibly can. And we want to make sure that those companies invest in broadband here in Pennsylvania instead of going elsewhere. So again, I appreciate understanding that you would like to see someone bring it forward to you so that you can choose to classify those workers appropriately.
We will give careful consideration to anything we receive, absolutely.
Well, I think the time is of the essence. Those dollars are coming down to Pennsylvania. We are already beginning the process of putting out proposal requests for those connectivity projects, and so it really needs to be done.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Just a follow-up to that. So, in terms of, you said a petitioner would have to ask, who can ask you that? I mean, obviously this is a really critically important issue. I think no one here is shocked by the difficulty it'll be in some areas of the state to get this much needed resource to those areas. So we want to maximize these dollars. What will it take? Is there something that we as this body can do, or what kind of entity would have to petition you in order to do that?
So without getting too into the weeds, under Section 8 of the Prevailing Wage Act, an interested party would be a prospective bidder, an employer, a union, someone who has an interest in that contract. They then would file a petition that would be challenging the determination, the prevailing wage determination. It would be 10 days they'd have to file within the publication of the rate. Public hearing would be held within 20 days. I would have 10 days to issue a determination, which then would be subject to appeal under the Prevailing Wage Appeals Board. That is how it's triggered, and it happens with each rate determination. So that is the only way these issues can get in front of me for consideration. That's just the statute.
Okay. Senator Phillips-Hill, any other? I used about a minute of your time there. Do you have anything else?
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would ask is, would the Pennsylvania Broadband Development Authority be able to bring this to you?
That is a really good question.
They have appropriate standing to do that.
I don't candidly know the answer to that, Senator, but I will check in with Chief Counsel and get back to you on that.
We would really appreciate that.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Madam Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.